Massachusetts at the St. Stanislaus Bishop and Martyr Cemetery. They're along the main drag through the cemetery. It's a very long, narrow cemetery, 1 mile long, but only about 180 yards across. So it's quite narrow. So if we're looking towards the gate section, and we'll be down there for one of our stops, but you can see it's a horizontally oriented. Now, there's 4 quadrants around this pre-circle. One of our stops looked at the pre-circle, but we're going to look around these quadrants so see if there's anything really fascinating to look at. In the distance is a brand new concept where people that are been cremated, they want to be buried above ground, and they can go into this plot that's slightly to our left in the screen, and it's an above ground burial cabinet where each person gets their own set cabinet. Now, we'll have 4 quadrants, so we'll do each one. Quadrant number 1, you can see some of the modern stones here being put in place. A lot of the cemetery is set out by the size of the stone, like most cemeteries, and also by the year that they've been buried in. And this is one of the very, very modern quadrants that we're looking at. And this whole cemetery is very beautiful laid out. In one of our stops, I'll show you the layout map, and that will help you greatly to get around. Okay, so we're going to walk up. Okay, at this quadrant right here, you can see what's happening. You can see in the distance that there's a little chapel. And that chapel, quite beautifully made, has been renovated once in its lifetime. And it was made to be a place where a small prayer can be said for the deceased person and have all the mourners around the body. It's a very nicely made chapel, one of the best ones in Western Massachusetts. Also to its side, a little harder to see, is a maintenance building, but up there is a nun section, and there's also a big map to show you what the layout is and what the numbers and so forth are. And there's also a rules listing, and also the oldest barriers are across from that chapel. So it's a very important stop that we're going to be up there. This is an introductory video, so we'll only get to see a few things. But one thing I want to show you in this quadrant, right over here, you see a black bench, and there's going to be many of these benches inside of the cemetery, and the parishioners, if they care to, can have them engraved in a memory of a loved one. And this one happens to say, "Love and memory of Thaddeus P. Dutch Chewitz Jr." And that's telling you that they spent a lot of money to have that done, but they cared so much about their father or ancestor. And next to it is a wooden post telling you the area you're in. This one says St. Luke, but each section has a post, and it has a name to it, usually a saint's name, and it helps to allow you to navigate through this massive cemetery. Of course, you probably need more information like row number and then plot number, and that you can get from the St. Stanislaus Church. They have all the information for this. About the next quadrant. So here you can see a very massive stone, and that stone is cube starzik, and some of the stones in here are absolutely gigantic. The Polish people really respect their cemeteries. If you come out here in December, you'll find loads of flowers. There's a tradition to put out flowers in December, Christmas time, for all the deceased members of the church. And in this quadrant, also, if you look in the distance, you can see that there's much more to the cemetery. There's another circle up there we'll talk about at some point. But also, you see high voltage electric lines. The St. Stanislaus Church and Cemetery gets paid for those lines being there, and that's why the highest voltage lines pass right through here. Okay, last quadrant. Okay, in this quadrant right here, again, like I told you, every quadrant has a name associated. This one's the St. Stanislaus quadrant. And inside of here you have some very old family stones. The individual very old ones are across from the chapel. The family very old ones are in the St. Stanislaus section. And in this section here, you can see some very old, very strongly vertical stones. I think that first burial of that child is in this section also. I couldn't exactly find her gravestone, but I think she's in this section. Now, also along the edge of the section, you have a section along the woods, which is unusual, and I'm still looking into what happened to those stones. In this section also, you have a lot of war veterans, because remember, this is a 100-year-old cemetery. From the beginning, you pass through World War II and the Korean War, and a lot of those veterans are buried in this particular section. So thank you for coming on and stopping. I hope you do more stops.